Last night I was having a chat with one of my boys and he was feeling a little bit down in the dumps about getting something wrong. Now, they were his words, not mine, okay? But he got something wrong and he was just feeling very upset with himself or disappointed in himself that he'd gotten this thing wrong. And I was trying to explain to him that getting things wrong, while yes, it can be a little bit, kind of not a great feeling in the moment, it's actually a great opportunity. And whether you realize yourself that you've gotten the thing wrong or whether somebody else points it out to you, it's always a moment where now that you know that this thing is actually not the best way to do something, that you can either do it differently, you can do it better, you can try something else. There's so many different opportunities that open up when we get things wrong. Hey there, it's Lorna here and welcome to Sunday Strides. This is just a quick chat on a Sunday to help get you into the week feeling inspired to go with your horse and to make magic. And you're probably saying, what are you talking about? You haven't mentioned a horse yet. Bear with me. You see, I've been working with riders for an awful long time. And the one thing I see that happens a lot is that riders are unwilling to feel the mental and the emotional discomfort of getting things wrong a lot of the time, okay? They would prefer to only look at the parts that are right. They'd prefer to only look at the good bits, okay? Like the nice bits, the fancy bits. And they'll delete or they'll not even speak about the other bits. But it's always, the magic always comes when you are willing to be very honest and to dive into the not so hot bits in the ride, okay? Or in the session with your horse, or even in how you're showing up for your horse. When you can begin to get really clear about the things that are quote unquote wrong, okay? And I don't really like using the word wrong. I always think like the way you're doing it now versus the way you will do it once you know how or once you know why there's a better way, okay? I think that's a much better way to think about it. But let's go with the word wrong. That was the word my boy used. So we're going to stick with it, okay? But when you're doing something wrong or when something doesn't look right, okay? What's the opposite, hey? But when something doesn't look right, it can really challenge us. It can challenge our beliefs about ourselves. It can challenge our confidence in our own abilities. It can challenge even our confidence in our horse's abilities, okay? When things are not going right, instead of seeing it as an opportunity to dig deeper into that, we tend to just say, oh, well, that's going wrong. and we kind of try and cover it up. We try and hide it. We kind of bury our heads in the sand about it, okay? And I think that as a rider, and of course being the team leader for you and your horse and really guiding the two of you through things, I think learning to actually be very honest with yourself and with everybody else about what is wrong in order to do better or to make changes or to do things differently, I think that's a really, really positive attribute. And I think it's something that as riders, we can work on improving all the time. It's a bit like a muscle. And the more we do it, the easier it's going to become, okay? We can do more of it. And therefore, we can actually really begin to improve our riding and our mindset. Because very often, it may not be in the physical things that things are wrong. It could be how we're looking at it. It could be our mindset. It could be our approach to it that's quote unquote wrong, okay? So very often riders will avoid the thing that they're not great at. So maybe it's transitions, or maybe it's only really schooling your horse on the good rein, okay? Or on the side that feels easier, okay? It could be refusing to ask for help or refusing to ask somebody else's advice or opinion because you're worried about what you're going to hear back from them. And I think that, first of all, you want to be very intentional about the person's who you're asking the opinion of. Don't just ask any random person, okay? Ask the person who you look up to, who you aspire to do this particular thing like, okay? Ask that person. But yeah, I think that very often when we hear the negativity or when we see the maybe not so hot stuff that we're doing, it really challenges us. It kind of makes us shrink back down. And of course, that's what keeps us stuck. That's what's actually keeping you where you are. The lack of just that little bit of mental and emotional discomfort that it will require to be very open and honest with yourself and to look at all the parts of the ride, not just the good parts, okay? So as I said, I really do think that actually noticing that something is not how you want it to be is the win, okay? That's it. You're on the road now, okay? Things are only going to get better from there. And then it's making a decision about actually committing to really and truly changing that, okay? I think that this comes down to being intentional, being open to different methods, different ways, different ideas about how to do things, and then taking action on it. What I would suggest you do this week would be to record your ride and watch it back with curiosity, not criticism, okay? And then maybe even be very brave and ask somebody else to watch your video back, and then ask for maybe some honest feedback. Now, you don't want somebody who's going to tell you you're wonderful and you're brilliant and you're fantastic all the time. Look, it's good as a little confidence booster, but hey, if you want to learn, you do have to also have somebody who's going to be like, yeah, that was great. This part may need a little bit of work. Okay, that's important. And then I would say start creating a plan about how you could begin working on that this week, with your horse. And I think that has the potential to move you and your horse forward. Look, this is the very last weekend in June, which means next weekend, we're already into the second half of this year. So I think now is the exact right time to get onto it and to make a difference in your riding. If you would like to work with me a little bit more, not just on the things that are wrong, but also on the things that are right, I'm going to invite you to pop over to Connection. It was formerly Daily Strides Premium. You can find all the details over at stridesforsuccess.com/join. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Have a fantastic week. Keep well, and I'll chat to you soon. Be good. Bye.